Yeah,
Okay, welcome one and all. Good night, good evening, good morning. In reverse. Mahat, lead the way.
this is too slow of an intro, dude. We need a quicker pace.
We are the Future Podcast. Your hosts, Mahat Mangal and Aaron Alexander. We are uploading our first episode titled
No. Can we go
Comedians.
again? Can we go again?
Calling fuck, why? What happened?
I think,
Why?
I think it's too dramatic. I think we just need to say, "Welcome to the future podcast." Something like that.
No, dramatic is fine. Okay, so this can go on Patreon. Fucking bloopers.
Definitely, yeah. Okay, yeah.
Okay, take two.
Yep.
Dude, but then like that becomes formal, right? So what we were doing right now is like informal. I like the energy, bro.
Let's go then. I mean,
Okay, this is part of the episode intro. No. Okay. What? Okay, this
3,
is the intro.
2, 1.
We're here to bring you solemn news today evening.
Joining you in your life is Aaron Alexander and Mahatma.
This is episode 1 of the Future Podcast, where we talk about comedians, society, and acceptance.
We're duetting.
Yeah. So this is a makeshift introduction. We felt obliged to do such a thing. And oh yes, very important disclaimer. The first 8 minutes, 7 minutes of our video of what you're gonna watch is utter bullshit.
Yeah, we're just
So
coming to grips with how thing is run. This is our first time, recording and doing something like this. So we
and
definitely we have all kinds of technical shortcomings. We are even now we don't have proper recording equipment. We are doing it on Zoom. We are connected to public Wi-Fi. So there are so many limitations. But I believe, hello, random man.
we have
So
random
we
people
believe,
walking around.
so we believe what we do will someday, it'll turn into something better, and then more that you enjoy listening or watching, or and that we are able to put out good content out there with quality. I hope
And
you like bear with us this first few episodes, and yeah, leave your thoughts and comments and all that as comments, share, tell your friends. That'll be a big help. Yeah. So
we're pretty much putting our whole process out for you to watch. So you can like I hope you laugh with us. I hope you find whatever we found cringy. I mean, I hope you don't as well. But yeah, that's about it.
yep, and yeah, enjoy listening, enjoy watching. Yeah,
Bye bye and hello.
perfect.
Are you stuck?
Can you hear me? Yeah, you are stuck. You are stuck. I think you're
Okay.
having network issues.
Yeah, I'm using a public Wi-Fi, so I think it's
Not the best.
I think it's decent, but yeah.
Yeah, let's see.
Yeah. So can you? I will read like the sort of disclaimer that I wrote, and can you also read like I mean, can you also sort of draft one?
Yeah.
Your internet connection is unstable. Very good.
Yeah, what's our disclaimer gonna be? Just that we are two basic individuals who have done some sort of reading on the topics that we are talking about, but none of
Okay.
the listeners should take it, take whatever we are saying for granted. That we encourage you to read on your own, look at stuff objectively, and form your own
Definitely.
opinions.
Definitely.
so that you don't just become, another cog in the wheel of media, or all these people who keeps telling you, who keeps feeding you information, you know, polarizing people. So yeah, so we would say read your own stuff after you get, little bits of information from here and there. So yeah.
It got stuck in between, and like I I just heard the last part of what you said. So
I think
I
I
guess
got it.
I,
Yeah, I got it
yeah,
recorded, I guess.
your recording is gonna work.
Let's see.
Also, one more thing is I would like to add is that um, we might be amateurs, but at the same time, we are also trying to increase our own knowledge base using the podcast as a means for that. That is also one point that I will add. Okay, and like an introduction for everybody,
Yeah.
the topic that we're gonna speak about today is
Oh, this is not at all ideal. This is, we need better setup. Aaron. Yeah.
this is gonna be
Finally
horrible,
you're
right?
back.
We can't merge both of our copies.
It's fine, it's fine. Just go ahead.
This,
Yeah.
this is probably a reason for me to do this at home instead of sitting here.
Maybe, yeah.
Yeah.
Then let's see.
So yeah, basically, how much? I'll just repeat what I said.
Yeah.
Yeah, basically, I said we are both not experts in the field, but we are increasing our knowledge base.
Yeah, I heard that. I got that bit though.
That
You got
that bit's
stuck
got
when at the part where you're gonna introduce the topic. Oh, there you go again. No, this is not happening. Will this work? Oh man.
let me try moving a little bit closer to the cafe itself. I'm gonna relocate.
So yeah, do you want to tell people where you're at, or
Okay, sure.
should you not? I mean,
I'll just mention country
yeah.
or city. Let me just get my stuff.
Safety concerns.
Uh, yeah, so I guess this is a good. Oh shit, I think you guys can't hear me
Yeah,
because
we can, yeah. Just go ahead.
no, but my recording is using my laptop's mic. So my version of it won't have.
It's fine. I'll pick it up. I'll pick it up
Uh,
on my side.
wow, the logistics of this is crazy.
We'll get there.
Hmm. So I think it's better now.
Yeah,
We
should
didn't
be.
have an end.
Let's see.
Yep.
Yeah, you can start off right away.
Okay.
Sit
So
down.
I had not. I sat here initially first, and then I moved away from here because I felt like this place was more prone to the wind. So I kind of chose a zone that was a little more blocked off.
And it even blocked the Wi-Fi signals.
Yeah. So yeah, comedians and how the public is reacting to it.
Yeah,
I guess that's
comedians. Yeah.
summarizing what we here to talk about. I'm shivering in between, so I guess that has to be compensated for.
This is not ideal at all.
Yeah, I'll be
Yeah.
carrying a jacket with me anyways. Okay, so the bit that I focused mostly on was the Virdas video.
Okay.
I come from two Indias. So I'm aware of this issue, and I'm aware of the Dave Chappelle
Yeah.
comedian issue, but I just know the headlines about Dave Chappelle. I haven't watched his piece, and I also don't know the details. I know that vaguely it involves something regarding transgenders and some of the comments that he made regarding um that gender.
Yeah. Oh God. This we are getting cancelled.
Yeah.
I think you should just keep on talking about whatever comes to your mind. You don't have to like say what you don't know.
Mhm.
Let's just go ahead. What you
Yeah,
have.
but I still, at that particular point, I still didn't want to be insensitive. So that's why I took a minute or a few seconds to think. That is a nice, not nice, a sensitive way to say it.
Yeah, even I'm like very weak on
Mhm.
that. Like how to address this whole pronoun thing.
Mhm.
Still learning.
Okay. So I
So
think to make it
comedians in societies.
okay,
Yeah. Like
go with it.
like we basically chose this topic because we were thinking how relevant comedians are in a society.
Mhm.
Like in
Mhm.
a society, like there are different roles for each person.
Mhm.
So I guess we'll be trying to talk about the whole thing and how important they are to uh, how our society functions.
Yep.
Yeah.
And like a general topic or a general point that I can make about that is the benefit that we can see comedians provide to us is they generally don't try to follow the norms of society. They don't uh, necessarily follow the, I don't know what's the exact phrase for it, but they won't try to stick in the crowd. So they are in a better position to point out problems in our society. And I believe that um, as a society or as humans or as individuals who are listening to what they say, we need to approach it from a point of view of um, taking in that criticism, seeing what sticks, what doesn't, like what's beneficial for us, um, what improves all of our experiences, what upgrades our life. It's not necessarily something where we have to get offended by. I'm sure that it can um, trigger us, and it can possibly make us feel bad, but
Yeah.
it's good
So,
to like mhm,
yeah. So basically, they're critics. Yeah. Critics of the
mhm,
society. You can say that probably. So
mhm.
is it because people hate criticism of any sort? What do you think?
Maybe it's because people are too used to people, I mean like the people who are around us, we are more used to just hearing what we want to hear.
Hmm.
So
Even
that
now, even more like nowadays, I think, 'cause we
mhm,
stick to content that we like, we
mhm.
subscribe,
Yep.
follow them.
And I think like it's natural for people to stick in their own bubble, like because generally everyone pursues their own interests. So um, listening to outside opinion is not all like gonna be a habit.
So yeah, I was looking at like historical presence of these comedians
Mhm,
and
mhm,
whatever whatever evidence that people have found.
mhm.
So there's this Greek comedian called Aristophanes.
Okay. Okay.
So he's apparently called the king of ancient comedy,
Okay.
father of ancient comedy, even.
Okay.
So So I came across this video that was hosted by University of Warwick.
Okay.
They have a history department, I guess. So they were like doing these a particular show where they were reenacting ancient plays live on stage, adapting them to modern times. So I watched a little bit of that also. So what Aristophanes basically says is that like no one is beyond criticism. What they say is politicians, the playwrights, and even the gods. Like those are the 3 points that the speaker was making. So even back then, you had all these ideas about how you have to make fun of these people, make fun of these characters in front of the public, uh, in front of them, in front of the politicians who had to be there if they were like respectful, if they were to be seen as respectable in the society, they had to attend the thing and take in the joke. So so whatever happens on stage, if these guys don't react well to that, it's gonna affect their popularity. So it's like the complete opposite of now, I think.
Okay, I agree with the idea. Completely different as of now. Okay, wait, before that, I like when you introduced the history side of it. I wanted to ask, like, if you're aware, like, for context, what age was this in? Like
Oh
who
yeah,
were
this was in
this was
what 405 BC.
okay. So like, what sort of characters were around then? Like I'm guess okay, Greek. So for example,
I'm not very sure about it, but I think the club was called Dionysius Club. So because Dionysus is the god of theater and drama, I think.
okay,
So Dionysus. I'm not pretty sure who the contemporaries were, off my head,
okay,
but it's pretty old.
okay,
400 BC and all.
yep,
So that was the time when Athens. This was happening in Athens, by the way. So Athens and
okay,
Sparta were having a war, Peloponnesian War,
mhm,
and Athens was facing defeat in the hands of Spartans.
mhm,
And even then, they had this thing going on, all these festivals, and even then, these guys would make fun of the situation of the country.
okay,
So like you said, they are the they are those guys, the other lot, who moves away from the society and says, listen, look, look at it, it's
mhm.
different, or make fun of it.
Was the
Yeah,
Roman Empire active during that time?
Roman must have been. I'm not sure about my history there.
Okay. Now I asked only
I
because
think
like
the
that's one.
Persians were active.
Okay,
Yeah,
fine.
not
So
like it helps though. Yeah.
I guess these are all things that we need to fact check. The second thing that I wanted to bring up was so you were saying, can you repeat his name again? The comedian
Aristophanes,
Aristophanes.
Aristophanes,
Correct.
Aristophanes. Yeah.
So the point that he was trying to make was that nobody is above criticism, and I don't know if this is a like the point that I'm trying to bring up, if it's part of psychology, but or at least from my point of view, a personal experience, I would say is like people generally when they try to move up the ladder, when they in any sense, in a social sense, or when they try to, yeah, let's say social sense, they're generally trying to like reduce the number of hardships that they
Hmm.
face in their life, and criticism is can be thought of as a hardship because it puts that mental strain on a person. So that can be one reason why a lot of people have like a knee-jerk reaction to criticisms, because they can have that perception of, I've done so much hard work, I don't need to listen to this shit.
Yeah, could be,
uh,
could be.
so I just wanted to bring up that one point.
That's interesting, dude. I mean, even I mean, a lot of things that trigger people nowadays is because they consider the things they worship like gods, or even people worshipping like politicians. So I think they're like holding these guys to such a high standard, these things to high standard, and they're blind to it. And then when the comedian does the criticism, they don't want to take it. So I think at some point it's also not personal, maybe even though they might be not doing well in the social ladder, they will still be offended, even if just because they are having these mad respect for the gods and
Yeah,
politicians for.
yeah, and generally, I think there is that concept of like whenever you put anything or any person or a- an object in a on a pedestal, you
Yeah,
generally stop criticizing them because you put them on a pedestal to only see the good things. They're on that pedestal for a reason.
yeah. But it's just like people tend to put wrong things and wrong people on the pedestal most of the times.
Yeah. Maybe the habit of uh, putting people or things on pedestals itself is not very useful, but let's not
It
get
just
into that.
happens, I think, like it's natural for people to uh, consider something of a higher value than the rest of the other things,
Okay.
maybe. And
That. Mhm.
yeah, and also coming back to the comedian thing and the society, like uh, in Kerala, like we had this traditional dance form called uh, Kunjan Nambiar. Kunjan Nambiar. What is it called? Oh my God, Autumn.
Okay. Okay.
Do you remember the name?
No, I do not know.
Yeah. So
Just
he
you can
so
search for it.
he so he had this dance form,
Mm-hmm.
Autumn Dullal. Yeah.
Okay.
So it was called Autumn Dullal. Okay.
Okay.
So this dance form was basically a satire. So people would just like how we are talking about, like he was basically a stand-up comedian from the past, probably.
Mhm.
So this thing was, yeah, yes. So this thing was prevalent in India, the stand-up comedy, this culture in some other form,
Mhm.
And I think it teaches the society to, take a chill pill once in a while, sit around, laugh at their own mistakes, see how silly they are, see how uh, human they are, that
Mhm.
they can make mistakes and it can be funny.
Mhm.
You don't have to be so angry and uptight about things, when something goes wrong. And I think that teaches a society to take things lightly at some point. I think now it's missing and then it's making a comeback. Uh, but how effective is it? I don't know. I mean, people are
I
getting
think I
polarized
think it's
very
I think
easily.
it's quite effective. But so for example, now we brought up how it was part of Kerala's culture to have
Yeah.
these events. So and I just wrote down the point of penetration of the comedic art. So like perhaps the people who are being or who are getting polarized, I don't know if that's correct sentence phrasing, who are being triggered by things that comedians say, they're just not exposed to the art form of um, stand up. Not necessarily stand up comedy is what we use in modern terms,
Hmm.
but um, yeah, that in the art form, like for example, if I put a setting of a village, maybe the yeah, so basically they were not exposed to that, like somebody in their own circle. So coming and highlighting things in their village, I can see it going bad even in that situation, but maybe if there was more exposure to that, um, So if those people, even if they witnessed it in another culture, they would sort of understand the feeling behind it and they wouldn't react so violently or so emotionally towards it.
Yeah, I mean, are we doing it right?
What?
That's what sometimes what I wonder,
Hmm.
People canceling the cancel culture is becoming pretty strong in India now, especially in Bangalore with recent Munawar Faruqi, his name was, yeah.
Yep, yep.
So I think Bangalore had this idea of being a very cosmopolitan,
Mhm.
progressive space, and it's slowly like eroding away, I think.
But they did uphold that. So I think it was Mumbai for whatever reason, what I read. They said that they will make sure that it happens. They were able to overrule whatever the police said of canceling it because of law and order issues. Um, they said a phrase like it's about protecting the rights of a citizen.
Mhm.
No, it makes sense. Like a
Expression, yeah,
citizen.
freedom of expression, probably.
Yep.
But
So um, can we move on to Virdas?
yeah, yeah, yeah.
That's something that I spent most of my time reading on or watching. So basically, I kind of transcripted the whole monologue that he had.
Mhm.
So I guess I kind of have it in my brain to an extent.
Yeah.
Um, I started transcripting it because there was this a BJP member said that I hope I'm not going to get killed for this now.
Whoa, whoa. Yeah, go ahead.
That's another topic that I had in mind. Um, yeah, so essentially he said how uh, like Virdas went abroad and he was defaming India, and he will make sure that he is arrested for that. So I in my head I had a perception of, so he was talking about two Indias the whole time, and I had the I initially thought the concept was like he's saying something good and then he's saying something bad.
Yeah.
So that's what made me want to transcript it and actually read it out. But actually, if you look into it again, it's more both the sides that you mentioned more or less have like negative innuendos. Yeah, so that's like one observation. Um, but then, okay, the next thing that I want to move on to is he does raise like criticism points, and again, instead of people being so inflamed, like I would prefer that people like listen to the concerns that are being voiced out. Like ideally these responses need to be coming from people who are in positions of power. Like somebody from your country is voicing out concerns that they have, and like all you need to do is give a valid justification or a valid uh, reasoning what action you're going to take, instead of being so triggered by it. So um, like instead of starting a topic of saying that India is being defamed abroad, if you were able to show how mature you are and take that criticism and turn it around and make it something actionable and like address the issue,
Yeah.
that's not defamation. That would like improve our image anywhere.
Yeah. I think, yeah, defamation is, I think it's like not raw, it's wrongly used here. It's wrongly used.
Mhm,
I,
mhm.
why did Veerdas had to, like, why couldn't he do this in India? I mean,
I have no idea.
he was probably not feeling safe, with all the things that's been happening around. Could be one reason. And where he performed it, he did it in Kennedy Center, right? So that's
Mhm.
a landmark. place, and it could be. I mean, he must have been considering it like a peak achievement in his career.
Mm-hmm.
He could be really proud. So maybe he wanted to make a statement that is strong.
Okay.
There are also like people who uh, criticized him for being silent on the issues of caste and all that.
Mm-hmm.
But I'm not taking that side right now, because even though caste is an issue that we have to address, if someone
Mm-hmm.
is speaking out against something, you shouldn't, you know, discourage him by saying, you didn't speak of this. Why didn't you speak of this? You should have spoken that. It's easy to sit on a chair and criticize somebody who's talking up and talking
Mm-hmm.
out,
Mm-hmm.
instead of, it's like the kid who's answers in class and then you just sit back and, makes fun of him.
Mm-hmm.
At least he's trying. He's making an effort.
Yep.
I would take that stand with the omission of caste issue.
Mm-hmm.
But coming back to what you said, he did say like two things about in a sentence. Like first sentence would seem more positive.
Mm-hmm.
Like one that comes to my mind right now is about how we worship women during the day as goddesses,
Mm-hmm.
and then what rape them at night.
Yep.
Uh, it is true. Though people who are criticizing him would say, this is not the entire India. It's like not all men.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
It's kind of similar to that. Uh, but it doesn't mean that what he said is wrong. It is true.
Yep.
There's all this ideological thing about how women should be like goddesses.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, he literally says it out loud. I don't
Yep.
have to explain further. But then the reality is bad. It's not safe for women. It's not really safe for women to live alone, live a life fully in India as an
Yep.
independent human.
Yep.
Yeah.
And also, I'm not comparing the issues, but I'm just talking about the general perception of lack of safety. But like yesterday, when I was just going through all of this material, I just sensed in myself there's a general fear, like uh, you can get killed in India for saying something.
Yep.
So like yeah, so th- there is that perception that India is not a safe place, and that needs to change. And also, it like for the sake of argument, it's like we are not looking at statistics only and saying like the majority is fine, so we don't have to look at the minority and say like women are not being raped all the time, or if we're not looking at it statistically. um, it's always about like this might be like a business perspective, but like your citizens are in a sense your customers, your consumers, and their opinion, their feedback matters. So if somebody is having a negative experience, you want to do everything to rectify it and make sure that that does not happen. I, yeah, that's just a thing that I have. Like, you don't need to compare it. If somebody had a negative thing, like just stamping, like it's kind of like brushing aside that issue, and you're trying to bring up something else in its place. Like it's demeaning to the person who went through the uh, incident, the accident, whatever. So, or the crime. So we just need to, like, I think it's so easy for the conversation to keep flowing and to lose focus. So I think we need to like maintain our focus on what actually happened and
Yeah.
try to rectify that instead of going all over the place.
Yeah, it's all about, whoever is criticizing, uh, if you silence them, their their criticism still remains. whatever they try to communicate or whatever they manage to say out.
Yep.
It's like they say you can't kill an idea.
Mhm.
Once it's out of your mouth,
Yep.
it's there. And if you
Yep.
don't address it in a positive way, like you said, it only means that the company is going to lose the uh, value,
Yeah.
reputation. In this case, the
It's
government,
Yep. And the country. Yep.
in in which the citizens are like what shareholders. If you
Yes.
complete the,
The narrative. Yeah. That concept.
it's like the
So
worst investment we made.
mm,
I mean, most
another
governments.
another like understanding the context of the situation is so important, and I don't want that to be used as a method of um, making excuses. But when people try to create arguments over the details of what comedians say, for example, Vergas, they also need to understand that his profession is being comedic. So,
Hmm.
in the way that he crafts the monologue, he also has to craft it in such a way that it appeals to the audience. He's still a comedian. He's still like earning his livelihood. So that also has to be taken into account. It's not like he's not a politician who was like framing policies. So he's not expected to cover all grounds to have the most detail,
Yeah,
like so that one point has to be noted and has to be made aware.
yeah, it shouldn't be. I agree with that. But it's the exact opposite. Like politicians, they can say, senseless stuff, and people are not holding them accountable.
Mhm.
And instead of like the guy who has to be the funny guy in the room, the joker, people are expecting perfection out of them.
Mhm.
And I mean, it's so senseless when you look at it.
Mhm.
I don't understand sometimes. I mean, I don't understand most of the times.
So I think those are most of our views about the topic. And if we wanted, like we could deep dive into the exact matters that were raised in the video, but um, I think that's like a whole other topic which we can cover
Yeah,
in later
I mean, that would
episodes.
be too much. Yeah,
So I'm just going through whatever points that I made.
yeah. Just to do a slight recap, like that, something like that.
Yeah. So, like all parties who are involved, they need to have a certain sense of oversight in themselves. Like um, everybody knows that you are on one side, like you might be employed by a political party. You are in some tangible form affiliated to some group. But at the same time, it's important to have like in the back of your mind that broader picture, that the whole purpose of having like an opposition is to just make sure that your idea is refined.
Hmm.
It's not about my side is right, your side is wrong. That's not the point of having two sides. The point is to refine the idea and to catch anything that was left out. So I think that's the lens through which people, or like people in power or somebody who's responsible for governance, they need to be looking at it through this lens. It's not about like which side wins.
Let's just hope that they watch our stuff and
I think
have
there's
a
gonna
moment of enlightenment.
so okay, fine. This like what I was about to say was something for another episode. We'll get into that later. Anyways, like not to be a buzzkill, but it's basically yeah, um how do you inculcate these skills in our existing incumbents? like is
Yeah, the
is the only
funds in
is the only way is the only way kicking them out and getting like people who have those skills, or do we develop systems that on the job training? So
I think that's a
uh
whole other debate whether we can
yeah, yeah, yeah. I
politically
just wanted to.
reform. So can we politically reform a nation, or can we do it only like socially, like you improve the society first and then you do it, or whether you put a proper political, you know, system in place first and then let the politics bring it down. So maybe
Food
we
for
can,
thought for
yeah,
the so like to whatever audience we have for this episode, Mahat and me have the government as a topic. So I
yeah,
think that would be a more appropriate episode to discuss all of these for.
yeah. So just to say one point about, like,
Mhm,
key points from my side would
mhm,
be like how we should teach ourselves to take ourselves more lightly, treat
mhm,
ourselves to be the fools that we are sometimes, to be the idiots that we can be,
mhm,
realize no one is perfect.
mhm,
You gotta you gotta have that friend, around you to tell you there's some food
mhm.
stuck between your teeth sometimes. That doesn't mean that
Oh,
you're
shit, I thought
gonna
you were actually telling that to me.
yeah, it doesn't mean that he's bad and that he should, get him jailed or hate on him. He just wants what's best for both of us. I mean, he could be ashamed to have you around in the club. Could work for the benefit of both.
Yep,
So take yourself more lightly,
yep.
promote comedians, stop hating on them, and like Aaron said, don't expect them to have all the data and all the perfect information. I mean, nobody does.
Mhm,
I mean, they're the last person that you should expect. And put more accountability on politicians. That would be my personal point that I would like to push through. Hold them accountable. Listen to the people you voted in power. Listen to what nonsense they're saying. Criticize them. Are you stuck again, Aaron? God.
yeah, yeah. Could you repeat what you were saying?
I got it recorded on my side. So
No, I still need to hear you, dude. I still need,
I was
I
telling
still
how
need
you
to
should
know.
like hold politicians more accountable,
Okay,
like whoever we voted for, like
okay.
go listen to what they're saying. Is it nonsense? Is it bullshit?
Mhm,
And then make changes wherever you can,
mhm. Okay.
and start voting the young ones.
Mhm,
Don't just stay away from voting and say, I don't believe in politics.
mhm.
Yeah,
But
just
I can raise issues with that,
I
which we
have a
will
lot
do
of
later.
issues.
Which
Yeah.
which we will do later.
Yeah, really. Yeah.
Uh, s- so then to like summarize on my side, I think that I've just written on 2 points, and it takes into consideration what you have raised also. So I think like the key takeaways from what you have spoken about is understanding the value of comedians in society and understanding that unique position that they are in kind of like helping us burst our bubbles and not getting too comfortable with where we are and like making us question things. And the second thing that we all of us need to take away is when they do criticize something that we have strong beliefs for, how do we receive that? How do we respond to that? Like what is the lens that we are looking through it? What is the lens that we are looking at it through? I hope you got what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
So I believe these are my two key takeaways.
Yeah. That's good.
Yay.
Okay.
Okay,
Yeah.
so that
Bye
is
bye.
the
Thanks for
end.
listening. And thanks for tuning in, I guess.
Yeah.
Uh, and yeah, let's hope for more episodes like this.
Mhm.